What happens when a network decides to turn a one-off role into its own full series? At first, it seemed like a risky experiment, and after a rocky debut, the series was on the verge of disappearing. But then, a strange twist behind the scenes gave it a second life in a completely new setting, breathing fresh energy into the show and setting it on a path no one expected. From there, the journey only grew more complicated, shaped by choices and changes all the way to the end. This is the story of Jake and the Fatman. In 1986, William Conrad guest starred in a two-part episode of Matlock, playing D.A. James McShane. His performance caught the attention of Ed Silverman and producer Dean Hargrove. They saw potential in Conrad and decided to build an entirely new series around that character type. Hargrove teamed up with Joel Steiger to develop the concept. Using Conrad's Matlock role as inspiration, they created J.L. McCabe, a tough former Honolulu police officer who now serves as a district attorney. Interestingly, Joe Penny had also appeared in that same Matlock episode, playing a character on the opposite side of McCabe's case. His appearance there was unrelated to the series that followed, but it set the stage for the two actors to eventually headline a show together. To balance McCabe's gruff approach, they introduced Jake Stiles, an easygoing investigator who operates very differently from his boss. They often clash due to their different styles and personalities while solving crimes together, and this tension became the show's core dynamic. Adding a touch of personality to the show, McCabe was often accompanied by his bulldog Max. This role would ultimately become Conrad's final television performance, closing a career that spanned over 40 years. Opposite him was Joe Penny as Jake Stiles, a handsome and easygoing special investigator. Penny had already built a fan base from his co-starring role in the 1980s detective series Riptide, and his portrayal of Jake brought a balance of charm and energy to the show. Alan Campbell was cast as Derek Mitchell, a young and enthusiastic assistant district attorney who served as McCabe's right-hand man. Guest stars were another highlight of the series, with appearances by well-known actors such as Jane Badler, Alex Cord, and Robert Reed. The theme of Jake and the Fatman came from television composer Dick DeBenedictis, who had already written themes for Matlock and would later go on to score Diagnosis Murder. The music reflected his theatrical background, giving the theme a brassy crime drama edge. Across the 5 seasons, other composers such as Joel Rosenbaum, Artie Kane, Morton Stevens, Bruce Babcock, and even James Stemple contributed to episode scores. When Jake and the Fatman premiered, the reaction was muted, reviews were scarce, and the ratings landed in the middle of the pack rather than at the top where CBS had hoped. By the end of its first season, the network was already questioning whether it was worth keeping on the schedule, and the series teetered on the edge of cancellation. The production of Jake and the Fatman was shaped by network decisions, location moves, strikes, and tensions both in front of and behind the camera. The first season was filmed in Los Angeles, but after Magnum PI ended, CBS was suddenly stuck with an expensive, now empty production facility in Hawaii. At the same time, Jake and the Fatman had been canceled after its first season due to middling ratings. The network didn't want to waste the space, so the producers came up with a creative solution. They revived the show and wrote a storyline in which McCabe retired from Los Angeles and moved to Hawaii to take up criminal law, with his investigative team following him. Ratings went up sharply after the relocation, giving the show 3 more seasons to thrive. Life in Hawaii wasn't as idyllic as it looked on screen. Filming for long stretches on Oahu created challenges for the cast and crew. Joe Penny later admitted he spent 9 months away from his family with almost no vacation time. The intense schedule and CBS's heavy involvement in the scripts added even more stress, with Penny explaining that every episode had to satisfy the network, the producers, and the writers, making him obsess over script quality. Season 2 didn't start smoothly either. It was delayed by a Writers Guild strike in the spring and summer of 1988, followed by a strike by resort workers in November. As production continued, rumors began to swirl. Joe Penny lost a significant amount of weight during the Hawaiian shoot due to a gastrointestinal virus. Unfortunately, this led to unfounded and false rumors that he was suffering from AIDS. In reality, Penny gradually recovered and regained his weight. Around the same time, another rumor falsely suggested that either Penny or William Conrad had pushed for the show's return to Los Angeles. In truth, the move back to the mainland was strictly a budgeting decision. When CBS's lease on the studio expired, the production was forced to move back to Los Angeles, where the series would remain until its conclusion. Behind the camera, major changes were underway. Co-creator Dean Hargrove left early in the show's run. Producers David Mosinger and Jerry Taylor were brought in to take over, working alongside Fred Silverman. During this time, writer J. Michael Straczynski, who would later go on to create Babylon 5, was hired as an executive story consultant. But creative disagreements soon flared. Mosinger and Taylor both resigned during season 3, frustrated that episodes, especially those filmed in Hawaii, were being rewritten on location without their input. On set, William Conrad's blunt personality became well known. By the early 1990s, he had grown increasingly dissatisfied with the scripts, privately calling them poor. Joe Penny also voiced his concerns publicly. In a 1991 interview, he criticized the repetitive structure of the show, explaining that writers had only 5 to 10 days to produce each script. By its 5th season, Jake and the Fat Man was heading toward a natural conclusion rather than an abrupt cancellation. William Conrad had fulfilled his 5-year contract and was ready to step away from the series. Joe Penny was also under contract through the 5th season and agreed with the decision to bring the show to a close. Ratings had slipped from the highs the series experienced during its Hawaii years, making it less appealing for CBS to push for renewal. The series quietly came to an end on May 6, 1992. The most enduring legacy of Jake and the Fat Man is the show it helped launch. Late in the run, an episode introduced Dr. Mark Sloan, played by Dick Van Dyke, a genial physician who solves crimes. That backdoor pilot worked. It led to 3 television movies and then a weekly series, Diagnosis Murder. Outside of that spinoff, Jake and the Fat Man faded from regular syndication for years. What remained in memory was the pairing at the center, William Conrad's seasoned prosecutor contrasted with Joe Penny's younger investigator.
He's a good guy.
Jake and the Fat Man has had a limited but notable presence in the home media market. Paramount first released the show on DVD in the late 2000s, starting with season 1, which was split into 2 separate volumes in 2008. Season 2 followed in 2009, but these early releases eventually went out of print, making them harder for collectors to find. In 2017, Visual Entertainment issued Jake and the Fat Man: The Complete Collection, a comprehensive DVD set containing all 106 episodes. This release finally gave fans access to the entire series in one package. For those who want to add Jake and the Fat Man to their collection, the complete DVD set is the best way to experience the show's full 5-season run. A link is available in the description, and a card should be popping up on screen to make it easy to check it out. In the end, Jake and the Fat Man didn't go out with fireworks or controversy. It simply reached the point where its story was done and its stars were ready to move on. A show born from a single guest appearance left behind a surprising legacy, one that stretched far beyond its own 5-season run. And while its time has passed, there's always another classic series with its own twists and turns behind the scenes. If you want to see how a very different kind of show carved out its place in television history, check out our deep dive into the Incredible Hulk series.
Dr. David Banner, physician, scientist, surgeon.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content.